What if the man you mourned for 3 years was never dead? Jasmine Carter rebuilt her life after losing her husband, until a shocking encounter on a flight unraveled everything. A web of secrets, betrayal, and emotional reckoning follows as Jasmine confronts the man who abandoned her and their son. Will she choose revenge, redemption, or freedom? This isn't just a story about love lost. It's about a woman finding her power. The truth comes with a price. Are you ready to hear it? If this is your first time of coming across the channel, please support with your subscription. It is free. Like and share with others. It means the world to us. It will help with our growth as upcoming. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Let's get back to the story. For the first time in 3 years, Jasmine Carter allowed herself to exhale. She sat at her modest dining table in her apartment on the east side of Detroit, scrolling through travel websites with a look in her eyes that hadn't been there in a long time. Hope. At 35, she felt the weight of lost time, of dreams deferred. She whispered aloud, "I'm still a woman. I still deserve joy." Her fingers trembled slightly as she hovered over tropical getaway ads. Sun-kissed beaches, glistening oceans, cocktails in hand. Jasmine had been living in survival mode since Marcus disappeared. No answers, no goodbyes, just vanished, leaving her to raise their son, Malik, on her own. Tonight, though, a switch had flipped. For the first time, she didn't feel guilty wanting something for herself. Her son was old enough now, and she had saved just enough for a small break. The idea of warm air, the ocean, and escape, it wrapped around her like a blanket she didn't know she needed. And maybe, just maybe, it would quiet the ghosts for a while. Clicking through destinations, Jasmine felt flooded with memories. Thailand kept appearing in her search results. She and Marcus used to go there back when love still lit their lives. College days turned honeymoon memories, turned family trips. She hadn't looked at that part of the map since he left, but something in her ached to go back, to reclaim it, not for him, but for herself. Thailand, she said aloud, the syllables strange on her tongue after all this time. Her son, Malik, now 8, peeked his head from the bedroom. "Mama, you okay?" Jasmine turned and smiled. "Yeah, baby, I think we're going on an adventure." The words felt foreign but freeing. She didn't know yet that what awaited her would be far more than just beaches and rest. Something was waiting for her out there. Answers she never asked for, truth she never imagined. 3 days earlier, Jasmine had spiraled through panic, pacing her apartment with her phone in hand. The date had crept up on her again. March 12th, the last time Marcus was ever seen. He'd told her he had a business trip to Dubai. "New investors," he claimed. "Just 2 weeks, I'll be back before you miss me." But he never returned. His phone stopped ringing. Emails bounced. The police brushed it off at first. A grown man with a passport probably ran off. But Jasmine knew something wasn't right. Marcus had always been charming, always half-truthful. But he was still the father of her child. She tried holding it together for Malik's sake, who was just 5 then. She explained the absence away as, "Daddy's job takes him far away sometimes." Every night she cried into her pillow and every morning she made eggs like nothing was wrong. But Jasmine hadn't been living. She'd been enduring. The silence was cruel. And yet, a mother's strength is both armor and curse. She took freelance bookkeeping jobs, kept Malik enrolled in school, smiled at birthday parties. But something broke inside her that day. The worst part wasn't the abandonment. It was the not knowing. She often wondered if Marcus was dead, or worse, living a second life without her, like she'd been a phase in his. Just when she'd thought her mind couldn't torment her anymore, she decided to call Reggie Thompson, Marcus's old boss and longtime friend. They used to have family barbecues with Reggie's crew. Maybe he knew something. "Hey, Reggie, it's Jasmine." she said into the phone, her voice cracking. "Do you know where Marcus went?" Reggie's pause on the other end was long. Too long. "Jazz, Marcus told us he was taking unpaid leave. He said y'all were going through something and he needed space." Jasmine nearly dropped the phone. Space? He left her and Malik to suffer while he took a vacation from responsibility. That night, she didn't cry. She stared out her bedroom window for hours and whispered, "No more." Just as Jasmine began to accept that Marcus had chosen to abandon them, her phone rang again. It was Reggie. His voice trembled through the receiver. "Jazz, I didn't want to say this over the phone yesterday, but I just got word from a contact in Norway. There was an accident." Jasmine's knees buckled. "What kind of accident?" she whispered. Reggie cleared his throat. He was seen with some people snowmobiling on a river. Apparently there was a thaw, and he went through the ice. Jasmine's world tilted. She couldn't breathe. "They haven't recovered a body yet," Reggie continued, "but the authorities said no chance of survival." For a moment, time stood still. There were no sounds, no tears, just a vast, hollow nothingness. Was this what grief felt like? But could you even call it grief when your anger burned hotter than sorrow? Jasmine hung up and sat in silence. Marcus, gone, just like that. She hadn't even been able to hate him properly. She wanted to scream, throw something, smash the memories they built. But more than anything, she wanted to understand. If he was truly dead, then why had he lied? Why the fake business trips, the emotional withdrawal, the mysterious lifestyle? None of it made sense, and without a body, how could she ever feel closure? That night, Malik came out of his room and saw her sitting motionless on the couch. "Mama, are you okay?" he asked in his soft voice. Jasmine didn't know what to say. "Daddy's still traveling, baby, but it might be a while before he comes back." She didn't know if that was a lie or a mercy. Either way, it was all she had to offer. The weight of Marcus's choices had crushed them both, and Jasmine knew something had to change. She had to stop dying inside, for her son, for herself. The next morning, Jasmine opened the hallway closet and pulled out an old family photo album. Dust floated into the sunlight as she flipped through page after page of forgotten joy. One photo made her heart ache. A picture of her and Marcus grinning atop a snowmobile in Chiang Mai, Thailand. He'd wrapped his arms around her waist as she laughed into the wind. Back then, she thought love would last forever. Jasmine stared at his smile in the picture, wondering how the man in that image became the ghost who abandoned her. She traced his face with her fingertip and whispered, "Why did you disappear, Marcus? What were you running from?" But she knew the photo wouldn't answer her. Memories never talked back. They just haunted. Later that night, she booked 2 tickets. Thailand, 7 days. No expectations, just escape. "Pack your sandals, Malik. We're going somewhere warm," she said. He jumped up and down, eyes wide. "The beach? For real, Mama?" Jasmine nodded, and for the first time she saw light in her son's eyes that had been missing since his father vanished. At the airport, Jasmine clutched Malik's hand tightly as they boarded. The moment the plane ascended into the clouds, she felt her chest loosen. "New chapter," she whispered, but nothing could have prepared her for what, or who, she was about to encounter. Somewhere in the first-class section, behind a wide-brimmed hat and expensive sunglasses, sat a man who looked too much like Marcus. Jasmine didn't notice at first, but her son did. "Mama," Malik whispered during a patch of turbulence. "I saw Daddy." Jasmine froze. "What did you say, baby?" "Daddy's on this plane," he insisted. "He got short hair now, but it's him. I saw the little mole under his chin." Her heart skipped. She looked down the aisle, but couldn't bring herself to look too far. Was it just a child's imagination? Or had the ghost finally returned? Jasmine told herself her son was just confused. The man Malik saw couldn't be Marcus. It wasn't possible. The airline confirmed there was no passenger by that name, but her hands shook as she clutched her drink, and for the rest of the flight she didn't sleep. When they landed in Phuket and retrieved their luggage, Jasmine caught a glimpse of the man again. Same frame, same gait, same mole. But the face was partially hidden, and he disappeared into the crowd with a young woman in tight jeans and long braids. Jasmine stood frozen at the baggage carousel, Malik pulling at her hand. "Mama, are we going to the hotel now?" She nodded, trying to keep her voice steady. "Yeah, baby, let's go." But inside her, everything was unraveling. The hotel was beautiful. Warm breezes drifting through open lobbies scented with plumeria and coconut oil. Jasmine tried to convince herself it was just a look-alike. They checked into their room, and she threw open the balcony doors to let the sea air in. That night she stood outside, staring at the moonlit ocean when voices from the room below carried upward. Loud, arguing. A young woman's shrill voice cursed about money. A man's voice, low, weary, familiar, responded in short, frustrated bursts. Jasmine's breath caught. That voice, it couldn't be. She leaned over the railing, careful not to be seen. "You think this 4-star dump impresses me?" the woman yelled. "You ain't no baller, Marcus." Jasmine's blood ran cold. She stepped back, heart pounding in her chest. That name, that voice, that mole. And now, the confirmation. Marcus wasn't dead. He hadn't drowned. He was alive, right beneath her feet. Living a lie. Jasmine sank into the chair on the balcony, mouth open in disbelief. She had come here to heal, to rest. But now she realized this trip was going to change everything. Jasmine barely slept that night. Her thoughts spun like clothes in a dryer, heated and chaotic. Marcus was alive. She'd heard it with her own ears. But why? Why fake a death? Why put her through years of grief and their son through the ache of abandonment? Jasmine needed answers, but she didn't know whether to confront him or disappear back into the life she'd carefully built in Detroit. The next morning, she left Malik with a kids' activity group and walked the hotel halls like a ghost, trying to remember which room number had the voices. When she found it, just below hers, she hesitated. Her hand hovered near the door, then dropped. What would she even say? "Hi, remember me? The wife you left to mourn your ghost?" Number, it needed to be calculated, not emotional. She stepped away and paced the corridor, not realizing she was being watched from around the corner by a man in sunglasses holding a tropical drink and wearing that same wide-brimmed hat. That night, Jasmine went back to the balcony. As the breeze brushed her face, she heard them again. The girl downstairs, now calmer, was whining about their budget. "I told you, Marcus, this isn't luxury. You promised the Maldives. I didn't sign up for beachfront poverty." And then Marcus replied with a laugh, weary and dry. "You're lucky I even brought you, Tiana." Jasmine blinked hard. Tiana. So that was the name of the loud young woman. She didn't care. All she cared about was hearing that voice, Marcus's voice, coming from a man who was supposed to be dead. She looked at Malik sleeping peacefully inside and realized that part of her still longed to believe it was all a dream. But the anger returned, hot and bitter. She had been forced to grieve a lie, and now that lie was on vacation, living like nothing happened. Jasmine whispered, "You really thought you could hide from your past forever?" The next morning, Jasmine and Malik headed to the beach early. She wore wide sunglasses and a straw hat, shielding her identity. As they approached the loungers, she noticed 2 vacant chairs, right next to Marcus and Tiana. It was like fate wanted her to confront the truth. She almost turned around, but Malik was already bouncing ahead toward the water, his feet leaving prints in the sand. Jasmine took the seats. Just as she began applying sunscreen, The argument resumed beside her. "You always tired," Tiana snapped. "You drink half the minibar every night and act like you're 22. Marcus didn't respond at first. His voice came out ragged and low. "Because I'm tired of this whole damn act, Tiana." Then, suddenly, his words slurred. Jasmine turned slightly and saw him sway. His face paled. He muttered something under his breath and collapsed onto the sand. Everything happened fast. Tiana screamed, backing away, flailing her arms. Tourists around them gawked, but no one moved to help. Jasmine's instincts kicked in. She threw off her hat and rushed to Marcus. "He's breathing," she said to a staff member who came running. "But his pulse is weak." Tiana looked stunned, not even recognizing Jasmine. "You know him?" she asked. Jasmine didn't answer. She shaded Marcus from the sun, tilted his head, and stabilized him like she'd done when he got drunk at parties back in the day. A hotel medic finally arrived and injected something into his arm. Marcus blinked. His eyes met Jasmine's, confused, then wide. "Jazz, mine," he whispered. Tiana looked from Marcus to Jasmine, her mouth falling open. "Who the hell is she?" she demanded. Jasmine stood slowly, brushing sand from her knees. "You'll find out soon enough." Tiana was too stunned to respond, and Jasmine, for the first time in years, felt in control of the chaos. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about reckoning. Back in her room, Jasmine couldn't breathe. The moment Marcus said her name, the past she'd locked behind emotional bars came crashing in. She didn't know what scared her more, the fact that Marcus was alive, or the fact that he looked like a man unraveling. The way he collapsed on the beach, it wasn't just heat stroke. It was guilt, tension, and secrets weighing him down. As she showered the salt from her skin, her mind raced with questions. Why had he lied to her? To Malik? To everyone? Did Reggie know the full story? Or had Marcus lied to him too? Jasmine had a right to answers. And she wasn't going home without them. She dried off, threw on a robe, and stared at her reflection. She no longer saw a grieving widow. She saw a woman standing at the edge of a truth that could set her free, or burn everything down. Later that evening, a knock came at her door. Jasmine peered through the peephole. Marcus, hat gone, hair cropped short. He looked older, gaunter, but the eyes were the same. She opened the door slightly. "You've got 5 minutes," she said coldly. Marcus stepped in slowly. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he said. Jasmine folded her arms. "Let me guess. You were running from the mob? Secret agents after you? What is it, Marcus?" He looked at her, eyes glassy. "You deserve the truth." He sat down on the edge of the couch. "I owed money to some dangerous people. Business deals gone bad. They threatened to hurt you and Malik. I faked the snowmobile accident to protect you both." Jasmine's face didn't move. "And it never occurred to you to take us with you?" Marcus lowered his head. "I was scared. I thought they'd follow. I thought cutting ties was the only way." Jasmine shook her head in disbelief. "You didn't just fake your death. You killed our trust. You buried our future." Marcus's mouth opened, but no words came. 5 minutes were up. Marcus returned the next morning, but Jasmine didn't answer the door. She needed time. So she took Malik for a walk through the resort's gardens, trying to clear her mind. As they strolled past koi ponds and winding footpaths, Malik skipped ahead, carefree. Jasmine watched him and wondered, was it worth letting Marcus back into his life? Would the truth strengthen or scar him? The boy still believed his dad had been away exploring distant lands. That fairy tale had protected him, but lies don't last forever. "Mama, when is Daddy coming back to see us again?" Malik asked suddenly. Jasmine hesitated. "Soon, baby. Real soon." But she didn't know what soon even meant anymore. Back at the room, she found a note slipped under the door. Marcus's handwriting. "Meet me tonight at the bar. No lies this time, just truth." Jasmine stared at the paper for a long while. She got dressed slowly that evening, choosing a navy dress that made her feel powerful but not vulnerable. When she arrived at the bar, Marcus was already there nursing a glass of water. Tiana was nowhere to be seen. "Thanks for coming," he said, standing up. Jasmine didn't smile. "You said no lies?" Marcus nodded. 3 years ago, I was neck-deep in debt. I borrowed from the wrong people. When they threatened to come after you and Malik, I panicked. I staged the accident in Norway. Reggie, helped me cover it up. You weren't supposed to suffer. I thought you'd be better off thinking I was gone." Jasmine leaned in, voice trembling. "You weren't trying to protect us. You were trying to protect yourself." Marcus looked crushed. "You're right." And just then, Tiana stormed into the bar. "So, this is your big secret," she shouted. "You left your wife and kid to play rich with me?" The bar went silent. Marcus paled. Jasmine turned to Tiana and said, "He left more than that." And for the first time, Jasmine felt him shrink under the weight of his own sins. After the bar explosion, Marcus chased after Tiana, but Jasmine stayed behind. Her heart wasn't racing anymore. There was no pain, no satisfaction, just clarity. Marcus had spent years choosing himself, time and time again. Jasmine wouldn't cry for him anymore. Back in her room, Malik was asleep, face peaceful. She kissed his forehead and sat on the balcony, letting the warm breeze carry her thoughts. When Marcus finally knocked on her door again the next morning, Jasmine opened it without hesitation, but without warmth. "I don't need another story," she said. Marcus sighed. "I just want a chance to be in Malik's life again." Jasmine paused. "That's not a decision I can make alone." He blinked. "You mean, you'll see him, but you'll have to earn his trust, same way you'll have to earn mine, if you even can." They arranged to meet the next morning at the hotel cafe, just the three of them. Jasmine explained to Malik that his dad hadn't really died, but had been working far away, somewhere very secret. "Like a superhero?" Malik asked. "More like a spy," Jasmine said carefully. At the cafe, Marcus was already seated. Malik saw him and ran, arms wide. "Daddy!" Marcus dropped to his knees, tears falling freely as he hugged his son for the first time in 3 years. Jasmine watched the scene unfold with mixed emotions, relief, tension, and a quiet ache. Malik asked questions non-stop and Marcus answered as best he could. Jasmine stayed quiet, letting the moment belong to them. But when Marcus looked at her with that same hopeful glint he used to wear when love was young, she shook her head gently. "You're not coming home with us," her eyes said. And for once, Marcus understood. Not every man who says sorry deserves forgiveness. Some just deserve to face what they've broken. Marcus returned to his room that night with shoulders slumped and mind spinning. Tiana was gone, checked out without a goodbye, leaving only a half-empty suitcase and a note that read, "You're just a washed-up ghost." Marcus laughed bitterly. Ghost. That's exactly what he had become. A man living under a fake name, hiding behind sunglasses and short hair. In the mirror, he barely recognized himself. His hairline had thinned. His once proud posture sagged with guilt. When had he stopped living? He hadn't just faked his death. He'd buried everything that mattered. Now that Jasmine had seen him again, he couldn't pretend anymore. He couldn't unsee the pain in her eyes or the maturity in Malik's voice. 3 years gone, and everything had changed. Except him. He was still running. From debts, from mistakes, from himself. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat at a beachside cafe, sipping tea while Malik chased crabs along the shoreline. She wasn't crying. She hadn't cried since the night Marcus was declared dead. Something inside her had calcified into resolve. Seeing Marcus again didn't bring back feelings. It brought closure and clarity. She realized she didn't want the man back. She wanted her power back. He could try to be a father now, but he'd never again be her man. Not after choosing to disappear instead of fight. Not after watching her break and staying silent while she held the family together alone. Jasmine watched Malik laugh and thought about the road ahead. She had decisions to make. About their return to Detroit. About letting Marcus in. About protecting her peace. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't driven by fear or grief. She had the upper hand, and she planned to keep it. The next morning, Jasmine agreed to a brief meeting with Marcus, just the two of them. They sat at a shaded corner of the resort garden, birds chirping around them like background noise to their tension. Marcus looked different now, less polished, more humbled. "I meant what I said yesterday," he began, keeping his voice low. "I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. Hell, I don't expect you to trust me. But I do want to be Malik's father again. I owe him that. I owe you that." Jasmine stared at him, her arms crossed. "You owe us more than a few teary speeches. Where were you when I was working double shifts just to keep him in school? When he cried for you in his sleep?" Marcus flinched. "I watched from afar. Reggie sent me updates. I didn't deserve to come back." "Then why are you back?" she challenged. Marcus looked up, and his eyes were raw. "Because living without him felt worse than dying." Jasmine didn't expect that answer. She saw something in him, regret, real and aching, but she had learned not to mistake regret for change. "You're going to have to show up consistently, Marcus. That means being there. Birthdays, homework, tantrums, everything. Not just beach vacations and smiles." Marcus nodded slowly. "I will, even if I have to rebuild from scratch." Jasmine sighed, some of the edge in her voice softening. "We leave tomorrow. You can't just pop up in Detroit and expect a happy welcome. I'll tell Malik you'll visit, but don't make promises you can't keep. He's a kid. He still believes in people. Don't be the reason that ends." Marcus took her words like an oath. Jasmine stood and turned to leave, her dress billowing behind her like a cape. She didn't see the tears Marcus wiped from his face, nor did she hear him whisper, "I'll try not to be the ghost again." Jasmine and Malik stood in the hotel lobby, suitcases at their feet, waiting for their shuttle to the airport. The trip had not gone as planned, but it had given Jasmine something she didn't realize she needed: clarity. Malik looked up from his tablet and asked, "Mama, when's Daddy coming to Detroit?" Jasmine knelt down to his level. "Soon, baby. But we're going to take it one step at a time, okay? Just because someone comes back doesn't mean they stay forever." Malik nodded thoughtfully. "I hope he stays." Jasmine smiled sadly. "Me too, baby. But if he doesn't, we'll still be okay. We always have been." The boy leaned against her shoulder, and for the first time since the confrontation, Jasmine allowed herself to exhale. Outside, Marcus stood at a distance watching them. He didn't approach, didn't wave. He knew Jasmine wasn't ready for another dramatic goodbye. Instead, he waited until the shuttle rolled away and whispered to himself, "I'll see you again, son." Back in his room, he opened his laptop and began typing something he hadn't done in years. A real job application with his real name. The aliases had run their course. The lies had expired. He wasn't ready to beg Jasmine for another chance. Not yet. But he could become someone worth being around. Someone Malik might be proud to introduce one day as his dad. Meanwhile, Jasmine and Malik soared above the clouds, headed back to Detroit. The sun bathed the plain in gold light, but Jasmine sat in shadow. Her mind was calm, her heart resolute. This chapter wasn't about reunion. It was about resurrection. A part of her had been buried with Marcus when he vanished. Now she was whole again, not because he came back, but because she no longer needed him to feel complete. Detroit greeted them with gray skies and wind that stung the skin. Back home, Jasmine unpacked slowly, each item a reminder of the storm she'd weathered. Malik settled in quickly, asking if he could draw pictures of Thailand for school. "Sure, baby," Jasmine said, touching his hair gently. She tried to return to routine, but every knock at the door or phone buzz made her heart skip. Would Marcus show up? Would she want him to? The uncertainty crawled beneath her skin, but she reminded herself. Her home was her sanctuary. She had protected it from loss, lies, and grief. She would protect it from hope, too, if she had to. 1 week passed. Then 2. Then one cold Saturday morning, Jasmine's phone rang. Marcus. She let it go to voicemail. Later, curiosity got the best of her. She played the message. "Hey, it's me. I'm in town. Got a job. Real one. I'm not calling to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know I'm trying." His voice sounded worn but sincere. "Tell Malik I'm around. If he wants to see me, I'd love that." Jasmine stood still for a long time. Then she called Malik over and played the message for him. "So, he's here?" Malik asked. Jasmine nodded. "He wants to see you, but it's your choice, baby." Malik grinned. "Can we go now?" Jasmine chuckled. "Let's start with a phone call." That afternoon, Malik and Marcus talked for nearly an hour. Jasmine listened from the hallway, her heart swelling with cautious joy. For the first time, she wondered. Maybe healing didn't have to mean forgetting. Maybe it could mean growing around the wound, stronger, smarter, wiser. Maybe Detroit's cold could be weathered. Together. A week later, Jasmine agreed to meet Marcus at a coffee shop near downtown. She arrived first, dressed simply but confidently, her hair pulled back in a high bun and a black coat cinched at the waist. Marcus walked in a few minutes later wearing jeans and a crisp shirt. No hat, no glasses, just him, raw, exposed, unhidden. Jasmine raised an eyebrow in silent approval. "No disguise today?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Not anymore. I'm done hiding." They ordered their drinks and sat by the window, watching the snow begin to fall. It was quiet for a while. Jasmine finally broke the silence. "I don't want to rehash the past. We've both said what needed saying. What matters now is what comes next." Marcus nodded. "I'm renting a place on the east side, close to work, close to Malik's school. I'm not expecting anything, Jazz. I just want to be present, consistent, useful." Jasmine studied him. "You say that now, but real redemption is boring. It's picking him up from school even when it's raining, helping with math homework even when you're tired, being there when it's hard, not just when it's convenient." Marcus swallowed hard. "I know. I'm ready." Jasmine leaned back, eyes softening. "Then, let's start with visits. You pick him up from school Fridays. Bring him back by 8. He's your responsibility in those hours. No bailouts." Marcus smiled, grateful. "Deal." They sipped their coffee in silence, a new understanding forming. The bridges between them were fragile, built on ashes, but built nonetheless. For the first time, they weren't pretending to be the people they used to be. They were standing in the truth of who they'd become. And from that place, maybe, just maybe, something new could grow. 3 Fridays in, Marcus hadn't missed a single pickup. He arrived early, stood in the cold, and greeted Malik with open arms and warm words. Each time, Jasmine watched from a distance, resisting the urge to critique or control. This was Marcus's moment to prove himself, not with grand gestures but with small consistencies. Malik, ever the sponge, soaked it all in. His eyes lit up when his father showed up. He bragged about their hangouts, bowling nights, trips to the bookstore, attempts at cooking spaghetti. Jasmine had never seen her son glow this way, and yet part of her stayed guarded. She'd seen too much. She'd cried too hard. She knew the weight of disappointment could crack a child in ways that never fully healed. Then came the test. One icy Friday in February, Marcus was late. Very late. Jasmine's phone buzzed. "Car trouble," he said, breathless. "I'm trying to find a ride now." Her instincts screamed, "Here we go again." But an hour later he showed up, face flushed, boots soaked, holding Malik's favorite snacks from the gas station he walked from. "I couldn't let him down," he said simply. Malik didn't mind the delay. He hugged his dad tightly and didn't let go for minutes. Jasmine said nothing. She just nodded, letting the moment settle. Later that night, when Marcus brought Malik home, he handed Jasmine an envelope. "Proof I'm serious," he said. Inside was a printed schedule of Malik's school year, a list of upcoming doctor visits, and Marcus's work schedule, highlighted and annotated. "I want to co-parent, not just play dad on weekends." Jasmine looked at him, speechless. And that night, for the first time in a long while, she opened a second wine glass and set it next to her own. It wasn't all smooth. The past had claws, and they found their way into the present. One afternoon, Jasmine received a message request on social media from Tiana. The message was short, cold. "Just so you know, Marcus owes me thousands. Hope his new little family is worth it." Jasmine laughed bitterly. Tiana had no idea what family meant. She showed the message to Marcus that Friday. He looked ashamed but didn't flinch. "She's not lying. I owed her. I paid her back. Every dime. I told you, Jazz. I'm not running anymore." Jasmine studied him. "Does she know where we live?" "No," he said firmly. "And if she tries to find out, I'll handle it the right way." Jasmine stared into his eyes for a long time. He was learning. Slowly, but learning. "You better," she replied, "because if anything touches my son, we're done. Not just you and me, you and him." Marcus nodded. "Understood." But Malik had his own questions. One night before bed, he asked, "Mama, how come Daddy didn't tell us he was alive? I mean, for real?" Jasmine sat beside him and ran a hand through his curls. "He thought it would keep us safe, but it hurt us instead. Grown-ups mess up sometimes. Big time." Malik looked thoughtful. "Are you still mad at him?" Jasmine smiled faintly. "Sometimes, but not like before. We're figuring it out." Malik turned over in bed. "I'm glad he came back. I think he missed me more than he knew." Jasmine turned out the light and kissed his forehead. In the dark, her heart softened just a little more. Not for Marcus, but for the possibility that maybe people really could change, not just in words, but in the quiet, day-to-day rhythm of trying again, of choosing something better. Spring came to Detroit with rare sunshine and budding trees. Jasmine sat on the porch of her small house, sipping coffee while Malik played on the sidewalk with a basketball. Life was quieter now. Not perfect, but hers. Marcus pulled up in his modest sedan, waved to Malik, then approached Jasmine with cautious ease. "Got time to talk?" he asked. She nodded. They sat side by side on the porch steps like they used to back when dreams were still fresh. "I've been thinking," he said, "about everything. You, me, Malik, about what we lost and what we've still got." Jasmine looked out at the street. "It's not what it used to be, but that doesn't mean it can't be good." Marcus exhaled. "Would it be crazy to ask if we could start fresh? Not for Malik, not for appearances. For us." Jasmine was quiet for a long moment. "I loved you once, more than you probably deserved," she said, her voice steady. "And I hated you for a while, more than I wanted to. But what I feel now, isn't love or hate, it's peace, and I fought too hard to get that back. Marcus nodded slowly. So, no? Jasmine turned to face him. No, Marcus, not now. Maybe not ever, but I do want you in Malik's life, and I want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. Marcus smiled, a little broken, a little relieved. You're incredible, you know that. Jasmine smirked. I know. She stood, stretched, and walked toward Malik. Come on, baby, let's go get ice cream. Marcus watched them walk away, and for the first time didn't feel abandoned. He felt lucky that he still had a role in the life of the strongest woman he'd ever known. And Jasmine? She had finally become the woman who could face any storm, because she no longer waited to be rescued. She had rescued herself. So, let me ask you, should someone like Marcus be forgiven? Can love ever truly return after betrayal, or does redemption have an expiration date? Some say people can change. Others believe if someone disappears once, they'll do it again. Was Jasmine right to walk away? Or did she close the door too soon? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear every side, because in real life, not every ending is as simple as happily ever after. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Don't forget to tell us where you are watching from. We appreciated you for being part of our community and keep coming back for more intriguing stories. See you in the next video. Bye for now.